What's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special OTR classic of the On the Runs podcast. It is Thursday, and in a couple days is the Boston Run Show. And if I'm jealous of anything, the only thing I'm bummed out about being in Cancun right now is that, well, I'm missing out on the Run Show because I want to do a lot of homework and I want to do a lot of research and I want to have a table and a booth there because I fell in love with the Boston Run Show last year when we met Mike Seaman. And today's OTR Classic is a fun little snippet of his time on the podcast when he talked about his baby, his love child, his dream about building Raccoon Media and getting the National Run Show in the not in Cancun, but in the UK. And he eventually brought it stateside to Boston. And all you guys are going to get to go. And I figured I want to play this for you because when you're there and you see Mike and you hear this, you're going to be like, this guy dreamed this up, and I heard his story, and it was freaking amazing. It was cool. I think Erika really enjoyed talking to him, too. Wonder if she did.
Absolutely, I did. And I really hope that he will be there this year. I will get to go on Saturday, March 1st with Tara and Lindsay, and you never know who we're going to see. There's going to be a whole bunch of pod fam there.
And if you see them, go say hi. Go say hi to Erika.
Please.
Go say hi.
Come get some stickers.
Right. She'll have a ton of stickers. I think free tickets are over, but if you try using the code on the runs. It might be over, but you can try. And if not, just go with Erika and like hold her hand and be like, I'm attached to her. I'm included with this ticket. But Mike was awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much to the Boston Run Show team, Raccoon Media for partnering with us this year. We had a ton of fun. David Barclay, good luck with the show. I hope to meet you guys and talk to you guys later this summer. Go to the ski expo too, you guys do. And next year, the goal, have a booth. So Erika, do the homework, take pictures of a lot of booths that you think are cool, creative, that we could, come up with some ideas about, and enjoy this episode with Mike.
Let's get into that. We can talk more running and your running experiences later if we have the time, but let's talk about Raccoon Media and the running show and how this started for you and when did this start for you? Because if you've only been running for about 12 years, it's got to be somewhat recent, right?
Yeah, it's new. It's so the first show we ran in the UK was in 2018. So we I've been an events guy for 20 plus years, so it's pretty much all I've ever done. So I organized exhibitions and I worked for big companies that do that, and I sort of built a career doing that, doing really boring shows. So what's
a boring show, though?
Construction, fintech, like
military and defense. Boring.
I didn't do any of that. But yeah,
that's what I'm in.
Oh, right, okay. So the company I work for ran the largest defense show in the UK. So
wow.
And so I was doing stuff like that. I had a really good job, and I did well. Like I started off as a junior, worked my way up, and ended up running a portfolio of events. But it wasn't my passion. I was now like getting really passionate about running, and I'd had this. Every events person has got like a pub idea. So you go into the pub, and after like 10 pints, you're like, "This is what I'd do if I had my own thing, man. I'd be amazing." and mine was the running show. The thing that I thought was weird was that there were big shows for runners, but they were marathon expos, and they happened at the wrong time to buy stuff because it was the week before the race, which is not
You're
a great
not supposed to do new things on race day. New things, yep. Mm-hmm.
Don't try new nutrition. Don't try new trainers. Don't buy any of that a week before the race.
Yep.
But also, they were marathon expos. And actually, running is way more than a marathon. There was no inclusion for people who were just getting started. There's no inclusion for people who were going beyond or doing different distances at different paces. And I just thought, actually, runners are all pretty cool. And actually, they all blend together regardless of distance or time. Most runners are just decent. So wouldn't it be cool to create like a meeting point for the community? That was my big idea. I would wang on about this all the time. Like I'd have a few beers, and I remember we were driving back. We'd been out with some friends, and we were driving back in a long car journey. And I was having my usual, "This is what I should do." And my wife just turned to me and went, "Will you stop talking about it? Just do it.
Just do it.
I didn't say exactly what she said, but yeah, she said just do it, and I was kind of actually, yeah, screw it, I will. So this building, this shed at the end of my garden was where we started, and we just I quit my safe corporate job. I took some consultancy work on the side to pay the bills, and I set up the National Running Show, which ran in January 2018 in the UK for the first time. And it was small. We had I think we had 3 trainer brands there because everyone was like, this is never going to work. But I'd hired the NEC, which is like the big exhibition venue. And I'd hired this lady called Kelly Holmes, who you might not know, but she's a double Olympic gold medalist. And those are the first two big piece of expenditure that I made out of my own savings. And everyone got really excited, and they all sort of believed that this was going to work. And I was like, this might actually happen. And I remember the day of the first show, I woke up and it was snowing outside. And as an event organizer, that's death. That basically means 20% of your numbers are not coming. And we're done for. I've taken this massive risk. I put my whole reputation on it, my whole career on it. And actually the worst bit was I loved running, and I'd made loads of friends through running by this point. And I was going to be embarrassed that no one was going to come. And I was in the exhibition before it opened, walking around talking to all the store holders. I just couldn't look people in the eye because I thought there was going to be no one there.
Oh,
I was gutted. I could have cried, and I walked past my friend who'd helped us build the show, because a couple of my mates had helped me work on it to get it together, and they were all working for free. And they went, just go and have a look outside. And I walked to the front of the show, and there must have been 3,000 people in the queue before we'd even opened. And I was just like, holy crap, runners are freaking awesome. I was literally like on cloud 9 for the rest of the show. And the show was god awful, because it was small, and it was nowhere near what I'd wanted it to be, but it was the first start, right? And
absolutely.
I proved to the brands, and I proved to all of the people that wanted to talk to runners, was that actually runners will come to a show like this. And once I'd done that, sort of, now that show, 27,500 people go to it in the UK. We have like 300 exhibitors. It's
wow.
mega. And as a business, we now employ 40 people. We've got like an office. We have 7 shows in the UK, 3 in the US. We're just about to buy another event business in the US, which will be another 7 shows. And yeah, we've just, it's turned into almost like a proper company, which, if you take into the fact that we ran our first show in 2018, which is not that long ago, and we had COVID in between, which was a pretty tough time for events people.
Right.
I pinch myself every day because my hobby is my job, and it's just all down to the fact that runners are awesome, and they will show up if they say they will.
A little snow is not going to stop us runners. I don't think so.
We're
a pretty resilient bunch.
Did you see the Boston Run show last year when it was like minus 20? It was like the river froze, and you guys still showed up. And it was like, yeah, runners are wicked.
Mike, that story, I had all the feels in that story. Like, I've always wanted to ask people about how they start a company, and when you're like, you quit your job, and how do you do that? And how do you just trust the process? And I think the only way it really truly happens is passion. If you're passionate about it, it's going to happen. And I had those feels for you right then when you're like, you couldn't look the guys in the eyes, and you're like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. Oh my God. I was like, wow.
So happy it worked out. I mean, the whole premise of the run show is amazing because it is so inclusive for everyone. Like, no matter what starting point you're at, it's just, you want anybody who has or wants that passion for running to feel included and to have fun.
Well, so we wrote down a couple of things that we wanted it to be. It was like, if you take a step out the door, you're a runner. So it's not about distance, and it's no matter how far or how fast you go is the other one. So those are our kind of 2 guiding premises, if you like. And it was really important to me that it became a community meeting point, and that the community was running. It wasn't ultra running or club running or fast 5Ks or whatever it was. It's actually just a home where anybody who liked running or loved running could come together and learn more about it, and maybe get better, or maybe just chat about it and, make it more fun.
I love it.
So take me back. All right, you just had your first running show. You have 2 employees. You had over 3,000 people show up. It's Monday morning, the day after the show. You sit down with your 2 employees, and are you just there in silence and awe, or you're like all excited? You got the whiteboard. You're like, "This is what we're
What are
going
we
to do
doing
next
for
time.
next year?"
What
So,
do we? Where do we go from here? What's next?"
so two things. So the first show actually had 10,000 people came to it. It was like
Wow,
Even better.
10,000. You had 3,000
But
at the door.
yeah, so we got shut down by the fire department about an hour and a half after we opened because we didn't have enough space for all the people. We're a bit more. We're a bit better at managing things now. And actually, I had no employees. What I had was a load of friends who I'd actually persuaded to just help.
Just
And
volunteering their time, yeah.
this is running, right? Like any race director
Yeah.
who asks for marshals and things like this will tell you about it. But the number of
Erica
people
knows.
yeah, I mean, they're amazing. The number of people who just helped, because I've been in the exhibition industry for a while, and there were loads of people who I'll be forever grateful to, who just helped. And then some people like Addie, who was one of my friends from university, who just helped me sell the stands. She's now an employee. She's now actually got a proper job here, but she just gave up her time to do it. And loads of people like Darren, who's my business partner. Anyway, but all of these people just sort of gave their time. And to answer your question, we got back on Monday, and I went into work mode. It was because all of a sudden it wasn't a pipe dream anymore, and I knew what to do now. Like because I've run exhibitions for you, and I had a plan, and I was like, I need to hire this person, and then I'm going to launch this show, and I'm going to because all of a sudden it was back to my comfort zone. But I've never been more uncomfortable than that first show, and I guess it's like your first race because you are fully exposed. It's like the biggest party you could ever organize, and you lay out all of the drinks. You've got everything lined up, and you've no clue if anyone's going to come. Everyone said they're coming, but some of your mates are a bit flaky. There are some of the guys that you don't know, and you're like, is this going to happen? So, but after the first one, it was actually quite easy because you knew what you'd done wrong, and you had something to work from, and you were like, okay, I need to grow this. And we sometimes compare the floor plan from the first ever run show, which is now 10% of what the current floor plan is. It was so shoestring, and I look back and I go, how the hell did that even work? But it's a start, right? And once you've got a start, you can go forward.
That is just amazing. And we're looking forward to the run show that's coming to Boston this year. So this is going to drop. This is mid-January, so it's only going to be a couple weeks away from when this episode
10
drops.
days away.
10 days, yeah.
If you're listening right now, the Boston Run Show is 10 days away. And how did you move the running show across the pond then over here to the States? And why did you choose Boston? It's because we're wicked awesome, I know, but tell us why.
So through the various iterations of the business growing, we brought in some other people and some investors, and some of those guys are really experienced. And one of them is my current chairman is a guy called Doug, who's a good friend of mine. He's a passionate runner, and he and I have done some mad challenges together. We just ran the West Highland Way, which is like this 96-mile ultra across a couple of mountain ranges. He's a badass runner, and he was like a proper exhibition guy. So he's been in the industry way longer than I have. He built his company and sold it for $1 billion. I mean, the guy's like not me. He's like a grown up, and he's
not us
sort
either.
But he's the loveliest man. He's the most unassuming man you would ever meet. He's just a brilliant guy. But when he invested, he kind of came in and he was like, you really need to think about the US, because I'd always thought about going into Europe. And he was like, no, the US is the biggest market in the world. You should go out there. There's a big running culture. And I was kind of, yeah, that actually makes sense. And so that was pretty much the thought process. And then we started looking at it. We did some research, and I was like, okay, I could do 10 of these. I could do, there were certain states that were quite open that we could look at. And we started with Boston because it's easier to work from the UK to Boston, just time difference. But also Boston's where most of the brands are based. You've got one of the biggest marathons in the world there. You've got probably one of the biggest running cultures in the States. It is a runner's city. It just felt right. We also launched Chicago and LA. we had to pull those because of COVID, because we couldn't get them off, but we will probably go back and do those again. But Boston, we were in, and we were like, yeah, actually, this is just working, and the brands loved it, the people loved it, and we were like, yeah, let's just go. And it went really well, despite you guys very kindly arranging the coldest day I think you've ever had in Boston.
You're welcome.
We did it just to test you, to see how it would come out.
It's like, if they come back after this, they're one of us.
I have never been that. I went for a run the day before the real cold snap hit, and I was like, that's the coldest I've ever been. My face hurts being outside.
Yep.
And then
what do they call that? The polar vortex or something? Or that like a bomb cyclone? I don't know what they want to call that, but it was
like that. I'm pretty sure I saw a polar bear walking around outside the exhibition center. It was
right.
Pretty damn cold. But actually, what amazed me was, and we had at that one we had Carl Lewis opening, and like Carl Lewis is like, you know, an all-time legend. And to be honest, for me, if the show had failed and I got to meet Carl Lewis, it was fine. It was like, because what a dude. But actually, people just showed up. Again, it's like it's like when we did the running show in the UK, and it just made me think. Actually, there's a lot of differences in the UK and the US. There's a lot of differences in the way the brands work, the way the retail market works, the type of running you guys do. But actually, there is just one thing that's synonymous, which is runners are cool and they show up. And you know, that really happened. And then we look at this year, and I'm kind of like, actually, so we've got Michael Johnson this year, which is
I saw that.
Epic. And
yes,
you know,
it is.
I mean, when are you going to get a chance to meet Michael Johnson and have a picture taken with him and just ask him whatever you want to ask him? To me, that's, forget everything else, forget all the cool stuff. Just meeting Michael Johnson is wicked, but there is other stuff to do. But for me, that's a pretty cool. And I don't know if you know Scott. I mean, you're into ultras, so Scott Jurek.
So
yep.
I was going to say the one guy I want to meet and I can't wait to have on the pod one day is Scott Jurek. So I can't wait to meet him. I have a different connection with him, but I can't wait to meet him and be like, yo, dude, we know Ryan. We're friends with Ryan.
So we've had Scott at a show in the past, and he's amazing. He's everything you want him to be. Like, he came out for dinner with us. Like, he's such a cool guy. And actually, all the runners are. It's, you know, and I've not met Michael yet, but when we had Carl at the show, he was due to be there for 2 hours, and I think he stayed the whole day. He went and spoke to everybody.
That's what runners are like. That's what we're like. That's what these runners who come on this podcast are like. It's like, hey, can you give us an hour? And then it's like 2.5 hours later, guys, we got to stop. It's just like, we love to go and be part of these things, and you never want to leave. Like, I'm locking down a babysitter to go late because I'm like, I'm not going to want to leave the run show on Saturday early to go get my kids. I want to stay.
Yeah.
And actually, to be honest, the bit that I think people will be attracted by the big names, the Hella Sidibe, the Scott Jurek, the Michael Johnson. But actually, the people that will make you stay will be the stories that you didn't think you wanted to hear from. There are so many amazing, amazing athletes out there doing incredible things. And actually, the hardest job is the job of our content team, who have to pick who goes on stage. Because there's like literally 2,000 stories that you could put up there. But we have people in the UK who queue up from early, and then they run and they get the front seat at the stage, and they literally sit and they watch every single session. And we could easily have that in the States as well, because the content is so good.
That sounds like a day well spent to me. Just hearing so many different stories. I mean, I would do it. But how do you choose, like, sitting there or going to mingle and trying to meet new people and buying stuff? And how do you spend your time correctly? Is there a right way to do the run show?
Yeah, there is. Basically, just come for 2 days and do everything. But
there you go.
We do put breaks in the content, and there's a break in the lunchtime period as well, so you can go and have a shop around the brands. And actually, that's one of the things that we do encourage people to do, because a lot of the brands bring new kit. So Puma last year were there with their sort of carbon plated shoes, and I'd not really considered running Pumas, if I'm honest, before that show. And I tried them, and they're freaking awesome. And I still run in those same shoes.
That's great.
And this, I'm not sponsored by Puma, by the way, but I swear that there is like that knocked minutes off my time, like on the shorter road stuff. They've got this carbon
Oh,
plate.
those carbon plates are something else. But
They
for
are cheap
Puma,
shoes.
if they can make Molly Seidel run that fast, I would absolutely consider trying them.
Honestly, they're insane. So Puma, we've got Puma back again. We've got. I'm looking at the list, but we see this is the advantage of the company now being a bit older is we actually do have good brands there. So we have Adidas, we have Asics, we have Ultra, New Balance, Saucony, Craft, Darn Tough, Skechers, Wahoo, High Price, Cybex, Ufos, Therabody, loads of stuff. So there's like
Oh, yeah.
hundreds
Oh, yeah.
of stands there.
Hyper Ice, Marathon Sports, My Gym.
Yeah.
There's so many. I'm looking at it. Wahoo. It just goes on and on. Exhibitors here, sponsors. The list
Yeah.
is on and on, man. I can't wait. I'm really excited. I didn't get to go last year, so I'm super pumped up right now.
Oh, you should, and I have to give a shout out to Marathon Sports actually, because so they're our official retail partner, so they help us get a lot of the brands into the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we met with Colin and Dan as it was. They're no longer as involved, but and they believed in the running show right from the start, and they've supported us all the way through, and they've been absolutely brilliant. And they're so ingrained in that Boston run community, they really get it. And for us, what I wanted to happen, I didn't want the show just to be a place where you come and you get sold to. I wanted it to be a place where you could go and get correct advice. So we always wanted to partner with a specialty retailer. And the advantage of a specialty retailer is that someone's not just going to sell you the shoes because they've got the highest price point. They're actually going to sell you the thing that you're going to be able to run in effectively. And I think that's quite important because the difference between buying your trainers online and buying it from a specialist is night and day. And I'm sure you guys go to the proper places and get the proper advice, and I have, and it going back to my days when I ran a marathon in a pair of high techs, I suggest it's probably the better thing to do.
I do appreciate that Marathon Sports and like the other specialty running stores will map your foot. And they could tell you what kind of shoes you need, if you need orthotics in it, just anything that's going to support like a healthy running habit. Well, not a habit, but like a running form. So you can do it the right way and avoid injuries. And so it's totally worth it to have somebody actually fit you for those shoes.
Yeah, and it's also to explain what all the words mean. Like they
exactly
use a lot of words like stack height and gait and pronation, and it's like, what do all these things mean? No one knows.
I know.
So you have to talk to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about to help you decide. And I think it's one of the things that we can sometimes be guilty of as people in the running industry is using big words. And actually, if you can't explain something simply, then you probably don't understand it well enough yourself. So if we want more,
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, but if we want more people to run and we want them to try and do better and enjoy it more, then we have to make it accessible. And that's what the show is all about.
Absolutely.
The show looks awesome, guys. Go check out the website. I think many of you have tickets now. We have ours. We got ours through Mary McManus, and I know there's other codes out there and everything. But the website's awesome. You can see all the brands, all the speakers. The whole entire agenda is up there. You got on Saturday, Kelly Roberts opens the show on both days. You got like the marathon and the road stage. There's a trail and ultra stage. In the future year, there'll be an On the Runs podcast stage. Maybe. You got like Dave McGilvery's going to be there. You guys know Dave. Becca Peasy. I've recently been learning about Becca. She's amazing. She just race directed a marathon in Antarctica. How cool is that?
Wow.
There's so many cool people. Laura Green, previous guest on the pod, she's going to be there. I'm sure that's going to be a hit. So, and then like the one I can't wait to meet is Scott Jurek. So I want to go back to the Boston Run Show though. Weeks leading up to the Boston Run Show, like we're 10 days out right now when everyone's listening. What is going on? What is you and your team doing to prepare now that you're probably moving into the venue and you're getting set up, ready to go?
Yeah, so we usually get in a day or 2 days beforehand. So what people don't see is like we build like a mini city like in days, and it's very different working in the US to the UK. So there's lots of different restrictions and regulations. And it's honestly, it's terrifying. It's like, cause you're the English guy, right? And you think, you're very reliant on your partners, and you just have to trust them. And actually, luckily, the partners we've got were brilliant and really looked after us. But it's we have an operations team, and their job is to coordinate all of the contractors and make sure they all show up. We have obviously a last minute, oh my God, the whole of Boston's now an icicle. How's everybody going to get there? Do we have to do some travel messaging and things like that? We have our marketing team at that point are dealing with probably 200, 300 emails or social media messages a day from people who've got very specific questions about how do I get there? When can I see this person? How can I see this brand? So they're working through that. The content team are dealing with all kinds of issues. So we had one speaker who arrived 10 minutes after the show closed.
Oh no.
Not through a fault of his own, absolutely no problem at all to do with him. He did everything to get there, and he got there 10 minutes after the show closed just because plain. So we have all of that kind of, and then we have our sales guys who are sort of liaising with all of the brands and the clients and trying to make sure that they're looked after in the run up to it. And then me, who's just basically annoying all of them, just asking like all the questions they don't want to be asked. And going, I've spotted this spelling mistake on page 23 of the doc, and it's like, yeah,
like my show notes.
I think they prefer it.
I'm the spell checker. Yeah.
I was going to say it's just a full on. It's so busy, and actually, what I think people miss is so we've got our big running show in the UK, and we've got our big running show in Boston, both at the end of January. So our team are working over Christmas, and working really hard to do it. And they work so hard, and they genuinely have such passion. And it started out as a group of mates, and we've kind of kept that vibe in the office, even though we're a much bigger business now. But most people actually, if they don't love running, they love one of the other sports that we do. And they are so keen and dedicated and passionate, and they just really do their best. And so if you see any of them at the show and you've enjoyed it, please tell them, because it makes such a difference to them to hear something nice. And inevitably, you only ever hear a small amount of nice, and then the one or two people who've had a bad time, you hear them.
Oh, it's so true.
Complaints. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, most people
I always try to say thank you. I always try to say great job.
Yeah, and I think
how much.
Most people are pretty cool. 90% of people have not a bad word to say. And actually, even the people who have had a bad experience, well, you need to hear that stuff, right? Because it helps you improve. And I think if you're arrogant enough that you don't want to hear the negative feedback, your show's going to die pretty quickly. So we do want to hear that stuff too. But if you see them, please just say well done, because they're awesome people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Productive criticism is good, but just be like, oh, the weather was 20 below. The whole thing sucked. You can't control the weather.
Sandwich it. You do a compliment, the little constructive criticism in the middle, and then another compliment at the end. Just
see, we call
everyone
it
there.
More compliments better.
It's not a compliment sandwich in the UK, but it's close.
Oh no!
You put the bad bit in the middle.
It's like. It's like everyone there is doing their best to put on a good show for you. They're not like, no, I want a crappy show. So I always say thanks for putting on a good show, and I can't wait to go to your show in a couple of weeks here. So we talked to Dave McGilvery about the prep that goes into the Boston Marathon, and they start to prep 14 months before the race. How long in advance are you guys prepping for the Boston Run Show every year, or just any big run show? Do you start the very next day after the show closes, or are you you already began? What?
Yeah. So before we go on site, we've already got next year's venue sorted. We've already got some of the brands and the retailers and some of the headline speakers already confirmed. So it's usually 13, 14 months ahead. Now, bearing in mind, we're now doing, well, next year it'll be 17 shows.
Wow.
It's a team of, still a small team that runs that. And within that team, you've got the finance, the operations, the content, the marketing, the sales, and then the general management guys. So they are spinning plates so fast. And they're brilliant. They're an amazing bunch of awesome people. And look, we've got the best job in the world, so don't cry for us. We get to do really cool stuff but it's intense. It's hard work, and it's quite high stress, and you never know like how it's going to go until the show opens. Like as I said before, it's that big party. Everybody says they're coming. You've signed them all up, and we got tens of thousands of people signed up for the Boston Run show. But until they're there, they're not there. So it's always a gamble. But when it pays off, oh my God, it's the rush, like crossing the marathon for the first time.
We have to thank Mike again for his time that he spent with us on the podcast. We love him. We hope you guys do too.
That was awesome, guys. Enjoy the Boston Run show. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Join our Patreon if you really love us and want to support. If you see deals like with Right Sock, go out there and buy some. Say hi to Erika at the Run Show. Say hi to Tara and Lindsay as well. And enjoy. Have a great time. And think of me in the 80 degrees of Mexico. But Erika, take us home.
I hope to see you guys on Saturday. Thank you for listening. You know we love you.
Don't fear the code brown.
And don't forget to stretch.
Cool.